He's Colin Hanks, the actor. The show, third season, is Life in Pieces. Also in town to attend an award show for his documentary, Eagles of Death Metal, which is on HBO.
It was on HBO, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that coming up in a moment here. And you're a big-time sports fan, but as we mentioned about 10 minutes ago, we co-starred in House Bunny.
Yes.
Were you aware that we co-starred in House Bunny?
Oh, I took it because I knew it was going to be the Dan Patrick
vehicle? Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
They said, we need someone right away. Can you please come? And I said, yes, I'll be there. Will Dan be there? They said, no. So I asked for just a little bit more money. But
But you were Anna Faris's love interest.
I was, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were great. You were a great cop.
Do you remember my scene?
Yes, of course.
You do? Okay.
Of course.
Because Anna Faris had no idea who I was.
That doesn't surprise me.
But I thought that now her future husband is a big sports fan, now her ex-husband.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if she was a sports fan, became one because of him. So that's why I thought maybe she might know who, or she had seen some of my earlier works.
Well, I've been a fan of your work for a very long time, both on the screen, both big and small.
Thank you. Thank you. You're a great actor. Oh, by the way, I'm going to find out how good an actor you are.
Okay.
Can you wear a Dodger hat and act like you really care?
Oh,
because
God, no.
all the people in Hollywood, all these actors in Hollywood that we see at a Dodger game, now those are some great actors there.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to wear that.
Because you're a Giants fan.
Because I'm a San Francisco Giants fan, a hardcore San Francisco Giants fan. The only actor that I know that does wear this while his allegiance is to another squad is Stone Street. Eric Stone Street.
Kansas City Royals.
Kansas City Royals, but he will rock a Dodgers cap. But I think that's just because of it's different leagues. At least I think that's probably what he's telling himself whenever he puts it on.
How important were sports when you were growing up?
Big. I mean, that for me, sports was kind of how I would relate to the kids in the neighborhood. You know, I grew up in Sacramento. My dad lived in Los Angeles, and so I would sort of travel back and forth. And when we moved to Sacramento with my mom, I had been living in Los Angeles, but I was a little kid. I didn't really know that much about sports. I wasn't that invested. But as I got older, all my friends were Niners fans. All my friends were Giants fans. And so I just sort of fell in with that group. And then hockey came around for me. My dad took me to my first hockey game in '88 before Gretzky. And that then I was a fanatic. I mean, I still am a huge, huge hockey fan. And that was really the only sort of allegiance that went Southern. So it was all Northern California sports and then the LA Kings. And then eventually the Sharks came around and I couldn't really quite get on that bandwagon. But yes, I mean, sports are big for me. It's like Rich Eisen says, it's the best reality show in the world. And if you teach anybody just the background, it can make those games really interesting.
Have you ever thought about a sports movie, show?
Absolutely. I mean, I've done two short 30 for 30s about sports. I did one called The Anti-Mascot, which is about the crazy crab mascot that the San Francisco Giants had in the 80s. And it was a mascot that was designed to be hated. And it only lasted 1 year. And then I did another one called Wally and the Worm, The Amazing Adventures of Wally and the Worm, which is about this guy, Wally Blaze, who was the assistant athletic trainer for the Chicago Bulls during their run. And he was basically put in charge of babysitting Dennis Rodman for 2 weeks while Rodman was on physical rehab. It was I was reading Phil Jackson's books. Have you ever read Phil Jackson's books?
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
Yeah.
They're so great. I'm not even a Lakers fan, and I think they're amazing. And there was this one little paragraph talking about this poor kid that had to basically watch Rodman for like 2 weeks while he was doing a bunch of physical therapy while he was hurt during their magic sort of season, the mid-season. They won like 75 games?
72? Yeah.
72?
Yeah.
Peanut Gallery, just head nods
Dan
eventually.
Etz,
72 and 10.
Yeah.
72 and 10.
There you go.
And so, Dennis had sort of gravitated towards Wally. And so Wally had to basically hang out with him and party with him and do everything that Dennis Rodman did.
Cross-dress?
Yeah. And Phil Jackson even pitched it in the book. He said it was like Almost Famous meets Get Him to the Greek. And I said, that's a documentary right there. So we animated it, and Dennis Rodman has different colored hair in every scene. And it's all there online somewhere.
He's Colin Hanks. The show is Life in Pieces, Season 3, premiered last night on CBS. And also in town, the documentary Eagles of Death Metal. When did you know your dad was famous?
Well, I mean, there's different degrees. You know, I always sort of laugh because everyone goes like, what's it like being related to a national treasure? I'm like, well, he wasn't really much of a national treasure, you know, during the Bosom Buddy days or Turner and Hooch or anything like that. So, you know, I think there's varying degrees. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's just sort of, there's certain like pre-eras and post-eras.
But did people make fun of your dad when he was dressing as a woman in Bosom
Not
Buddies?
really, no, not really. I think everyone was just sort of like, oh yeah, that's what he does. And I went, yeah, apparently.
But there had to be this moment where all of a sudden he became the Jimmy Stewart of, you know, today's...
Well, yeah, I mean, around the time of like Philadelphia and Forrest Gump, it became a totally different animal.
Did people treat you differently?
Yeah, to a degree, but I sort of ignore those people.
Okay.
I tend to not really sort of, I try to just sort of zone those people out a little bit because it's, you know, you could spend so much time and energy obsessing about that kind of stuff and you'll still be in the exact same place. You know, it won't move you. It doesn't move the needle. It won't move you any further. So I just kind of zone out when it comes to that.
What was the guest list like at your wedding?
It was great. I had Mike Beck there and Jake Bergman and PJ Knockman and
all the big
Sean
names.
Stewart, all the big names, all the big names. The wedding was a little surreal. But I have also sort of known these people that are friends of my parents for a long time. So I was sort of like, I guess I got to invite some of your friends too. And they're like, yep, absolutely. So I do have this one really great memory of Bruce Springsteen was walking, and I was sitting in this sort of like seat where I had like it was like we were in like a tent, so I couldn't see past a certain, you know, area on the left or right. And Bruce Springsteen is sort of walking, and when he's not on stage, he kind of walks slow, you know, and he just is sort of walking, and I'm like looking at him, I'm like, wow. As Bruce Springsteen walking really slow, and he stops, turns, points at me, and then keeps walking. And everyone around me was just like, "Oh my God!" I thought that made me laugh.
Tell me about Life in Pieces, Season 3.
Yeah,
This family,
short family. Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of fun on this show. We're really pretty lucky. It 4 short stories every week. And it all follows different members of this, like 3 generations of the Short family. And so it's like little short films, and they're really funny and witty and quick. It's like this great combination between really funny farce and like an animated show that's not animated. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just really quick, and we have a lot of fun. We got a lot of great people on the show. Dan Bacadaw, Betsy Brandt, Zoe Lister-Jones, Diane Wiest, James Brolin. We have a lot of fun. We end up laughing more than working. Kind of not too dissimilar than this place right here.
tougher to do. Are you attracted more to comedy or drama?
I'm attracted to anything that can hold my interest for longer than, you know, a few days. For me, it's like, you know, it's a strange thing to sort of to explain, but if I can't be invested in something for a very long amount of time, in the case of this television show, like 3 years.
Yeah.
If I'm not invested in that, how on earth can I go on national television and tell people to be invested in it for 22 minutes?
Yeah.
So for me, there was just something about the writing of the show and how funny it was, the stories that it was telling. And because of our structure, the way that it was structured was just so fresh and so different from everything else that I said that seems like a worthy endeavor.
The show is Life in Pieces. It premiered last night on CBS. The documentary that you did, Eagles of Death Metal, that was on HBO, that you're up for an award with that.
Yeah.
88 people died in that terrorist attack?
89 at the Bataclan, and there were 120 across Paris that night.
Why do you think the terrorists decided to go into that concert venue?
Because it was a concert venue.
That's it.
Just because
They're just random?
Just there were people there. Yeah, I mean, you can't really. Something like that is just so hard to make sense out of. And, I've known the guys in the band for a long time now. When, the more and more you try and think about that stuff, it just, there's no sense to it. It's designed to be that way. It's designed to throw you off. It's designed to incite chaos. And, I think, the whole point of making that movie was to try and help bring my friends a little bit of closure to that chapter in their life, and to try and show that, everyone collectively really wanted to pick each other up and move on with their lives. And, the sad truth of the matter is that, you're not guaranteed anything in your life. Life is all you get, and really all you get is now. So you just got to grab as much of it as you possibly can.
Is it easier or harder to do that documentary because you're friends with the band?
Harder, much harder. It was the most challenging thing I will ever do, hands down, because it was strange. I felt like interviewing my friends was going to be the most challenging part, and weirdly, of the process, while that was incredibly difficult, that was the easiest part. Because I was comfortable with them, and we talked a lot beforehand about even if we were going to do it, but we talked about how honest we needed to be with each other and how we needed to push each other to be uncomfortable, which is not something that friends normally do.
Yeah.
But that was necessary, and we had to go to that spot. But then the next day or 2 days later, we ended up flying to Paris, and then I had to do the exact same thing with about 7 or 8 survivors of whom I had never met before, whom are welcoming me into their house. And the people that we spoke to for the film, they didn't talk with any other news outlets. These people had been hounded for 3 months by every news source in the world trying to get their story, and they didn't want to tell it because they didn't want to feel exploited. And here they were letting me and my small crew in and asking them the most probing questions of their lives, and in a second language.
Yeah.
So it was challenging.
Surreal. Well done.
Thank you.
Eagles of Death Metal. Also, Life in Pieces, Season 3. He's Colin Hanks, and we coach. I don't know if we're going to be able to co-star in another movie anytime soon, but I would welcome that. And
I hope so.
I'd like to help you with your career if I can.
Yes, please.
So maybe House Bunny 2.
Can I be like the junior cop? Can we have like a cop buddy show?
I think we could be buddy cops.
I think we could do that.
We're about the same height.
We're about the same height, but I'm concerned that maybe we're too similar looking. So like one of us
handsome.
Yeah. Handsome, dapper looking man.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have a mustache. I can dumb it down.
You've got range.
I have range.
You've got range.
I got Jim Carrey range.
You got Jim Carrey range.
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, then go ahead and put on that Dodger cap.
I could be fun. I can wear a Dodger hat right there. Thank you for coming in, Colin.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate that.
No, pleasure seeing you.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.